PharmaPhobic is powered by Achieve the Lifestyle, a company dedicated to helping you empower your health, redefine your lifestyle, and all for the health of it. You're listening to PharmaPhobic, where we challenge the state of health in America. I'm Janie, a physician assistant, and I've seen how healthcare keeps people dependent instead of truly healthy.
And I'm Dan, a veteran turned fitness pro here to uncover the truth and explore simple and sustainable health solutions. From big pharma to big food, we're exposing the conflicts of interest keeping us sick and finding better ways to take back our health.
No fluff, no gimmicks, just real talk, real solutions, and a little bit of fun along the way.
And hello there. Welcome to another episode of the PharmaPhobic podcast, powered by Achieve the Lifestyle, where we help you become the strongest, healthiest, and most capable version of yourself. I am here today with the one and only, my lovely wife, Janie Brown.
I thought you were going to introduce the dog again first.
Oh, Maggie's in the building. We got to talk about Maggie for a second. Maggie Moo is
She's
in
right
the
here by me.
building. Why is she by you?
Obvious reasons that don't need to be expanded on.
It's my doggo.
Okay.
Anyway, how are you doing today, man?
I'm great. So today is Veterans Day that we are recording this. So happy Veterans Day.
Why, thank you.
And Dan, thank you for your service, sir.
Oh, it's all my pleasure. I will not be going to Applebee's to get my free meal or whatever it is that dudes do on Veterans Day.
Also, there's another big achievement that we need to mention that Dan did this past weekend. Everyone, Dan bought a dresser.
Oh, I did, like a big boy.
Yeah.
Like a big boy. I've been living a very minimalistic life for the past couple of years.
That's a way to say it.
Yes. Part of that, and maybe in some future episode, we'll talk about the ups and downs of life. So part of that was, I got life kicked me in the gonads there for a couple years ago, and things are going great now. So I was like, okay, I'll buy the freaking dresser. But I insisted on not doing it because I was like, no, I'm keeping my little minimalistic lifestyle, not spending money on stuff that I don't need. And now I'm like, okay, whatever, we can buy a dresser.
I don't know if you want to call it minimalistic.
What's less than minimalistic? Yeah, it is what it is. I used to spend money on nonsense. Now I don't.
So he bought a dresser. We're really proud. And it was funny because we go to the furniture store and Dan has very much a system of how he organizes his clothes. It's like, I think he pays more attention to the organization and the rotation of his clothes more than people do when they stock the shelves at a supermarket, just being completely honest.
I'm just keeping it 1,000.
And
There's
so
a system.
He's just like looking at a dresser, opening the drawers. You could just see the wheels turning. He's trying to figure out how he's going to fit his clothes, how he's going to organize them. And the saleswoman is standing beside me and she was like, is he really still on that dresser? And I said, listen, I've been trying to get this man to buy a dresser for over 2 years. The fact that I have him in a furniture store, he can take all the time he needs. We're just here. I'm happy.
I guess I'm growing old because I've acquiesced. You like that word? You like what I was just acquiesced in two things that I wasn't negotiating on recently. Number one, I am a member of the Readers Club now. You see, I could see up close. I could read. These letters look very legible to me currently.
Which side note?
And
he said to me last night, the regular size letters on the phone they look small. I'm like, oh, you're going to be a big font person, aren't you?
I don't even know how people do the big. I don't even know how to get the phone to make the big font. So I will not go there.
Lies. You've checked it out.
And people that put the big font on their stuff, it's like, y'all need a privacy screen, man.
You are a step away. You are a step away.
Nope.
But anyway, yes, he got Readers, which I'm very, very
And then I acquiesced on the dresser. The truth is also that most of my attire goes in the dresser, right? I wear shorts and T-shirts every day of my life because that's my uniform, that's my business attire. And then on the weekends, of course, I'm going to wear more business attire. So I need a big old dresser to fit
Yeah.
all of that versus closet space, right?
Yep.
I don't need that much closet space. So got the dresser. I
Okay. So I'm really
acquiesced.
proud of you. Anyway, so today, what are we going to talk about?
We are going to talk, we're going to get right into the good stuff. We're going to talk about things that need to happen before a successful health transformation starts.
Right.
Um,
Dan and I were recently talking about we're revamping the services with our business and trying to get them more realistic for people and more adaptable to be easily individualized for people. Not saying like, hey, here's our protocol, you have to fit into it. So it's more,
yeah,
yeah,
we started talking about this on the last episode, and
yeah,
then we kind of went over time, so we had to cut the conversation a little short. So this is the continuation of the
yeah.
conversation from last episode.
But we came up with something that we were already doing it in a sense, but this just sort of revamped it and made it a little bit more robust. But
Yeah,
what we're calling it is
a vibe
a
check.
vibe check.
You got to check. Are you vibrating? Do you have the right vibe to make a successful health transformation? You know what I mean? Sometimes you're just not vibing right with. Hey, I want to upgrade my health situation, but I'm not. You're not vibing with what you need to do to get there, right?
Yeah, or things aren't set up in a way where it may cause more stress than good if you really try to dive into
Yes,
everything.
correct.
Yeah.
And where this conversation came from, because over the years, we have conversations about people that start health journeys, but they never finish them. They never get to where they want to go. You know, a month in, 2 months in, 3 months in, they're quitting, or they stop doing what they have to do, or they gain a little momentum and then they fall by the wayside. And, you know, over the years in the field of fitness and in healthcare, I'm sure you've seen people, and everybody's seen this if you pay attention. Oh, I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to do this. I'm going to change that, blah, 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 blah. And people start, but they never stick with it, right? And you see a lot more of that than people that successfully make a health transformation. Unfortunately, wish we could, you know, have more people that decide to prioritize their health and then are successful in the endeavor, right? And I think this is part of the reason is you're not passing the vibe check, you
Yeah,
know?
and it's something we also want to do with our business is we don't want to have this be a service where you work with us for 2, 4, 6, 12 months, however long, and then it's done. Right. And
Mhm.
then you go back to doing what you were
To
doing.
BSing, yeah.
Yeah. It's more of we want to empower people to really make some life changes and have a new way of living so that they can maintain health for the long term. You know, they can stay strong, they can stay capable, they can stay productive. And I'm not saying that everyone's constantly going to be on this upward trend and it's going to be perfect. Like there's going to be some dips, highs and lows along the way, but we're always moving forward. We're always trying to achieve that ideal health. Um,
Yeah, well, and it's teaching people how to fish, right?
right.
Like I don't want you to I don't want to hand you a system and then you just kind of follow the little steps here, your macros, you make sure you eat that, and then you know, and do these workouts, and that's that.
Yeah.
I want you to learn how to maintain that. I want you to learn how to make choices that are actually, you know, beneficial to your health. I want you to learn, you know, how to get initiative, how to get momentum doing some stuff, how to fight, how to stay disciplined, that sort of thing. Learn how to do that.
Yeah. So it's not just, even if you have like the money and the time, but maybe you're just not in the mindset where we can really get going. And so then that means, okay, we need to start at a completely different place.
Yep.
Or it's like, hey, here's some tips. Let's work on this and then come back to us when you're ready.
Yeah, and this is the vibe check thing. This is not even because you think that people with endless financial resources are going to be successful when they start, and that is not the case.
No.
Like I'm thinking of one of my former clients right now that had very, you know, money wasn't a problem for him, and he just couldn't
Yeah.
break through, you know,
Yeah.
and that's part of the reason there is the vibe check that we're gonna go through right now. Like there were things in the vibe check that
Yeah.
he wasn't lining up with, right?
Yeah. So
Um,
get
so,
started.
so going through it, the first thing before making recommendations for a health transformation, you got to assess your bandwidth for your ability to implement change. Okay, that's kind of what the words that I was like thinking about. I was like, okay, how much change can you handle right now?
Yeah. So
Right?
I think a greatest example is a woman that we spoke with, did a consult call with, and she is relocating, relocating to a different location for a new job.
She's relocating
Yeah.
to a different location.
You know what? Thank you for pointing that out.
Love you. Okay,
Hmm.
keep going.
I think it just bothers me more because you're right. And I want to come up with something that you do wrong, but I'm not going to do that because it's not of the kingdom. I'm just going to let you be right for a
Oh,
second.
God.
So she had a new job and had to relocate. Done with that part of that statement. And she wanted to consider working with us. And that's just a lot going on. Transitions are hard,
Yeah.
even if they're good. She was happy about this new job. But that's just a lot to have to
Well,
move.
and more
Yeah.
than that, she didn't know what her schedule was gonna be
Yeah, she
like.
didn't know what
She
her
didn't
schedule was
know
going to
what
be
the
like. She didn't
gyms
know
in
what
the
gym
neighbor.
she was
She
going to
didn't
go
know what
to.
neighborhood she was. She knew where she was gonna work,
But
but
she
she
didn't even
didn't
have
have
a
a
grocery store.
she didn't have a grocery store or neighborhood type of thing. So that's just not the time. You guys
Yeah.
see what we're
And so
getting?
that's a little extreme, but I feel
Yeah,
like that's easier to conceptualize.
yeah. And then she's moving to freaking the city,
Yeah.
which is insane. I'm sure figuring your life out in the city is a conundrum all in itself.
Yeah. I
Um,
mean, you find bubbles. Yeah. But so go ahead. Sorry.
so in it, you have to be really honest because yes, a lot of people like given the time of the year, right? We're going into the holidays. Come January, a lot of people will be like, "I need to change right now," but be like, "Okay, what's happening? How much change can you actually handle right now?" Right?
Hmm.
And this is not saying that we're gonna put it off and that we're not gonna get healthy or this sort of thing. Be like, okay, before I give you a workout, it might be a good idea to figure out how to make your schedule work so that you have time to work out
Consistently.
consistently. Because I don't care if you separate it consistently, okay? Before I give you a nutrition plan, it might behoove you to figure out, where are you gonna get your groceries type
Yeah.
of thing.
Or like figure out what are you eating consistently? Like 3 meals a day, like recording your food. Where do you naturally fall diet wise? And if you're skipping meals all the time and one of your issues is low energy, well, let's get you eating 3 meals a day or however many meals a day or a certain amount of calories a day first before we really then get into the nitty gritties of differentiating, macros or if that's even needed.
Yeah, and really talking about nutrition. I mean, 9 out of 10 people that are like starting out with their health journey, they'll probably just benefit from changing what they're eating.
Yeah,
We don't even have to worry for months and months until you nail eating whole foods first,
yeah,
that sort of thing. But
exactly.
anyway, um, the second thing here, so is figuring out the support structure, right?
Mm.
What does that look like? Believe it or not, I don't care what kind of loner you are. I don't care. I don't need nobody. I'm a strong, independent woman. Don't need no man. I'm a grown ass. None of that is gonna matter. You're gonna need a support structure, right? Um, your family. What's your, spouse, whatever, are they on your side? Are we talking about one of these households where you want to change and your significant other wants to eat pizza every day? Are we talking about one of these households where you want to work out and your significant other wants to play video games for 10 hours a day? Like, what are we dealing with here?
Yeah.
Or is it are you getting a divorce? Or is it a not so constructive relationship, right?
Yeah. A couple things I want to say about that is even if you feel like, oh, I do best if I work out alone, I don't need any, even if you go to a gym and there's just people you see day after day there, that's kind of your support system.
Mhm.
Because it's almost an unsaid mutual thing, like, I see you, they see you, you know, so it's an unspoken
Yep.
accountability almost. Now they're not gonna call you if you miss going, but they know and you notice if they're not there, you know, so there is a little bit of that. And then so say, but I'm working out at home by myself. Well, there's still a support structure of what programming are you following?
Yeah, like coaching.
What
Yep.
what are you listening to? You know, what are you recording yourself? Who are you showing that to? So there is some sort of support structure there. And also, if you're working out alone at home, uh, like, what is your motivation for that? Going back to the episode that just released today, Mike does it at home alone for him, but it's also his kids are seeing him. So there's
Mhm.
kind of that sort of undercurrent of support that is probably help fueling him to continue to get up and
Yep,
go.
yep, yep.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's something that matters, right? It like
Yeah.
it could be the spouse, could be the significant other.
The other
You have people encouraging you, a brother, a sister, whatever.
yeah.
That's like, oh, you're gonna work out. That's cool,
Yeah.
you know.
The other thing that's big for parents, especially women, is having the support structure, whether it's your spouse, an in-law, your parents, a friend or whatever, to help with time to work out. So with some women that I used to work with, like, "Hey, I'm gonna go hit this exercise class. Do you mind picking up so and so from school?" You know, so that he's home and then I'm gonna be home shortly after. Your spouse, "Hey," and I would tell this to a lot of my patients. We're like, "Well, I don't have time to work out." Well, can you know, my husband and I both need to work out. Okay, well, can you guys work out like, 2 to 3 days a week, offset them. You're in charge of kids and dinner when he's working out. He's in charge of kids and dinner when you're working out, and sort of do that because that support is needed to make things happen realistically for people who live real lives of working, kids, family, stuff like that.
Yep,
Yeah.
true. Another thing that goes into your support structure, work environment. Um,
Mm. I've been playing around with this in my head. I think I'm gonna put together and put it up to our website for free. Is ways to help make a work environment more producing, more
health friendly.
health friendly. There we go. And English is my first language, but it's just really hard today. But and also when I used to work in a different practice, I would write up documents citing physical, mental, and productivity benefits of people being more active during work, like having standing desk, having walking pads, getting breaks, having stuff like that. And so I may put those up for people just to download
Yeah,
to be like, hey, insurance company, buy me a walking pad for my standing desk.
yeah, and it one of that, you're working from home,
Yeah.
like making even that is a work environment that has to be tailored, right? Like if you're working from home and you have a bunch of nonsense food in the pantry that you're gonna go pick at because you're bored. If you're working from home and you're sitting, whatever 8 hours and you're sitting the full 8 hours, you're not standing up, you're not going outside, you're not going on walks, like taking a movement break or whatever. Kind of that's not a successful work environment, right? So it is easy to botch the work environment thing at home as well. Um,
I, mm,
what
I don't, I think, but I disagree because when you work from home, you have more control over your environment.
You do, but I'm saying it's very easy to botch it too. It's easier to get it right because you can set yourself, it is your home, but it's easy to botch it too. You can set yourself up for
I
failure
feel like you have more
just as
barriers in
well.
an office.
Man, you have more barriers in an office,
So, for example, when I was working from home, I was more active than when I'm
but
working in the
you but
office.
you're a health conscious person. They,
I'm just saying.
let's think about somebody who's starting out. I think it's easier to botch at home. Same way, and I'll say that soundbite me, if you're a beginner to health stuff and working out, I don't recommend you working out at home first. If that's all you can do and that's where we have to start, yes. But I highly, highly, highly recommend, and the chances of success are going to be much higher if you get your butt to the gym.
Okay, agreed, but I think that's a little bit different because It's the same thing about eating. Like, yes, working from home, you can have more distractions with eating things, right? Because it's like, hey, nobody's stopping me from just going to the kitchen, or whatever. Um, and you do it's a little bit more on you to get the standing desk, get the walking pad, healthy things, right? But when you go into an office, I've worked in many offices where the desks are build-ins. I can't change the thing of it. So I have to get a riser. I also can't put a walking treadmill in there because there's a ton of other people walking
Yep.
around. And I am a health conscious person, but I would argue it's harder to remain healthier at an office than at home because, and granted, I don't have kids and you're not bringing in BS at home, but especially medical offices, donuts, um, coffee cakes,
Blows my mind.
pies,
Yeah.
all this stuff's being brought in. Also, and I'm how long in my health journey, and I get grief, and most of the time it rolls off my back, but I did find myself being a little self-conscious yesterday because, dang, Janie, you eat a lot. I'm always going to the microwave, heating stuff up
Yeah.
because I eat a lot. And it's, at home, nobody's giving you judgment for eating beef every single day.
Hmm.
Nobody's giving you like I could heat up fish at home. I
Same
will not
way
do that in an office.
you have more freedom to
Yeah.
set up the place at home, right?
Yeah.
But do you have a couch with a television at the office? Do you have a
No.
fridge that you can open whenever you want, that if you didn't stock it with the proper stuff, you're gonna go in there and pick BS because you're bored out of your mind and nobody's gonna stop you?
At an office, yes, you do have
Are
that.
you gonna sit that's stocked with whatever you want, with BS that whatever you
It's
want?
not what I want, but it's
And
whatever
get
people have brought in.
well, exactly. And do you have free access to the fridge with cookies and nonsense that you can pick whenever you want
Most of the time in an office, yes.
that you filled up? You put the
I
stuff
didn't
in
put there
there.
myself, but other people put
That's what
there.
I'm saying. So if you have a house and you have a fridge that's filled with whatever Cheetos you put in there because you still haven't gotten up to the level where we're buying the right stuff and keeping certain stuff out of your eyesight. So you can go either way, right?
Mhm.
You have the freedom to set yourself up for success, but you also have the freedom to really set yourself up for failure at home. You know what I mean? Because you're at home.
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing there. It's one of those, if you want to sit all day at home, you can sit all day at home. In the office, yeah, you're desk bound, but hey, you got to get up to go to the bathroom. You might have to get up and go talk to somebody at another office, whatever. The offices are not good if you're in there locked in all day, but you can make your home not good as well either.
Yeah.
Now,
Okay.
uh, girl, you you feeling debatey. Either way, guys, the work environment has to be set up for success, right?
Mm-hmm.
So whether it's at home, whether it's the office, if you are at home, take the time to set that space up
Mm-hmm.
for success. Getting a stand-up desk, things like that,
Mm-hmm.
which if we start talking about this health transformation, and I'm sure you'll agree with me on this, and I work from home. I will tell you to probably get the stand-up desk before I even tell you what workout you're gonna be doing.
Yeah.
Because that is, I mean, sitting is a new smoking type of thing. If we look at those studies, that's low-hanging fruit of movement.
Sitting all day in that flex hip position, if you don't have back or hip pain because of that, that's great. Good for you.
Yeah. I had this conversation with somebody last week. I was like, listen, during the scam vid, I ended up in physical therapy with hip and knee issues because I went from working at gyms and standing all day to coaching on Zoom and sitting down.
Yeah.
And my knees and my hips started hating me, right?
Yep.
So definitely. Friends become a really important one.
Mm-hmm.
Who you're hanging out with. If you're hanging out with a bunch of people that don't work out, that are not health conscious, and you spend a lot of time with them and they're inviting you to things that are not necessarily going to be beneficial to your health, that's also part of the environment, of shaping the environment. No, I'm not telling you to your friends that don't work out, and that's not what we're saying here. But I'm saying it's like, hey, You might have to say no to certain things for a little bit. Like, let's go to happy hour. Mm, I got to get my butt to the gym. Or,
Mhm.
I'm not drinking 3 days out of the week now. I'm only drinking one, you
Yeah.
know, certain things like that. Um, or you get friends that where you enlist them and you enroll them in your process,
Mhm.
right? Be like, hey, I'm gonna go work out. I'm gonna get real swole. I'm gonna get really sexy. How about you do it too?
Yeah.
You know? Okay. So figuring out a support structure, you're gonna need it. Don't come at me. I could do it by myself. No, you're gonna need it. Okay. So figure that out. Assessing current emotional state. Let me slide down here. Um, here are things. Where are you going through a divorce? For as an example, are you changing jobs? Are you relocating to another location?
Coming back for it. Thank you for that.
um, things that we put on here in assessing your current emotional state. So previous attempts at getting healthier that may
Mhm.
or may not have succeeded. Um, past trauma. This is a really important one, and this will be we'll deep dive into
Put a
this one.
pin in that.
So put a pin in this one. Let's put an asterisk next to that one. Past trauma. Illness. Are we dealing with diabetes? Are we dealing with some sort of autoimmune condition that limits your ability to do certain things? So that's and that contributes to your current emotional state, right? You might
Mhm.
be feeling a little distraught because you're dealing with some limitations. Injuries is another one. Do we have to work around injuries? That also contributes. Oh, I can't do this. I can't do that.
Mhm.
And that, frustration tends to be a little bit of a thing there. And awareness of current stress load. This is where people really, really, really that they don't want to look at it, or they think that they can handle more than they can, or they're underestimating and overestimating their capabilities and underestimating how much stress they actually have. Yeah, my dad died last week, but it's all good. Let's go. Or yeah, I got divorced. But let's go.
Yeah.
Or I lost a job or whatever, what have you. Or I own a business and I work on it 20 hours a day. I have 2 kids. I'm going through a divorce. And this whole ball of stress. But they're like, no, but I want to work out 7 days a week.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So spending time here figuring these things out definitely has some return there. Anything you want to add to that?
The awareness of stress, I think there's a great graphic you can look up called like the stress bucket. I'm sure everyone's seen it. But like filling the stress bucket, and sometimes you don't realize what things, and I will say this, especially women, contribute to our stress bucket throughout a day. And it's being aware that the whole point of improving your health is to make you more capable to be able to handle stressors in a healthier way and to bounce back from them. But it's also, especially exercise and even diet too, we want to utilize these things as a way to build us up, not tear us down, right? So a lot of women and men, oh, I need to lose weight, I need to lose weight. Even the world is burning around them, and they're like, let me be at a caloric deficit,
Yeah.
or the world's burning around them. Oh, I still need to get to this, I pay for this monthly membership to this gym, so I need to hit 4 or 5 classes a week.
Of straight blast your face with hit.
Yeah.
Just straight, hey, we're
Because
gonna
then
burn
it's
it
like your
down.
cortisol is like, I feel great, everything's fine.
Yeah.
But it's more realizing, because I think a lot of people, when we work with them and we're like, okay, you need to work out like 3 days a week. That's it.
Yeah.
Why not more? I have to work out more. I need to work out more. And it's like, whoa, let's calm down.
Yeah, and
We're gonna get after
usually,
it those 3 days. So,
yeah,
you know,
well, and usually they're already doing. Some people you find that they're already doing a lot of workouts,
yeah.
but they're not seeing any
Yeah. And so I
results.
I fall into this one often. All of the lights.
Oh, the lights just. just came on.
Did I move my hand too much? Oh, I'm so sorry. You all, we have to keep it dark in here because I am of the white variety and bright lights wash me out.
And I'm just tan and melanated. Just beautiful.
Just melanated.
Just beautiful.
So I fall into this awareness of other stressors because I'll just, when stress starts to click up, I switch to autopilot. And I talked to Tim, the physical therapist through Power Athlete, about this. I'll just switch to autopilot and I'm just like, okay, here's my workout plan for the week. Do it all to the letter. Don't vary from anything. Don't miss anything. Just do it like that. Do it in just, I'll just go, 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 go. And then my workouts, my energy was tanked. I wasn't able to be as intense in my workouts because my energy was so low. I wasn't reaping the benefits of it. I was having to, I ended up towards the end before it clicked in my head. I'm like, oh yeah, this was happening. I started skipping workouts. I started skipping jujitsu because I couldn't handle. So I became aware, changed a bunch of stuff. And now probably I'm 3-4 weeks into changing it. And probably last week was the first week where I felt like my body was like, came down. So it's not an immediate thing. You'll still be like, but you'll be like, oh, okay. And I'm feeling less inflamed. I'm actually seeing some benefits strength-wise again. I was like in a rut. And jiu-jitsu's more enjoyable again. So
That happens. There's also like, what are we calling stressors? Like people with kids that they have to, kids that have a very high volume of extracurriculars that you got to take them. That's
yeah, that you're a
stress.
chauffeur.
Yeah,
Chauffeur.
yeah, chauffeuring them too. Chauffeuring.
Chauffeur. I can't say that word.
Chauffeur.
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 Sounds
Chauffeur.
weird now in my head.
Chauffeur. Chauffeur.
Driver.
That you're taking them to, when you're running around, you coming off of work. I got to take my kid to this practice and we're going to that practice, or we're going here, over there.
And what if work ran a little bit late and then there's a little bit of traffic?
Then on the weekend we're going to travel. So we're
Yeah.
going to play in 2 hours away. It's going to, that's a lot of stress, right? That's going to interfere. So figuring that stuff out definitely helps. Okay. Awareness of stress load. That is,
I think
there's a lot.
Obviously diet, sleep, a bunch of other stuff goes into that.
Oh
that's
yeah, that's another one. Yeah, like if you haven't fed yourself well for a chronic, stretch it out, Maggie, little baby. But you haven't fed yourself well for a long period of time. That's something that is not going to help either the situation. That's a stressor. And then people want to inject in there something like intermittent fasting. Oh dear. Anyway.
I have no time to eat.
Yep. Okay. Then the other thing on this vibe chip, your goals. What do you want to do with your health transformation? And then
why are you doing what you're doing?
Yeah. And this is where it gets interesting because sometimes people come with goals that don't necessarily fit where they're at within the vibe check. You know what I mean? Obviously, longevity, if you're coming to me or coming to us, it's longevity based. I hope that's the we're not looking for quick fixes. It's capability, it's strength, it's health. Like, hey, I want to be a healthier version of myself, not, oh, I just need to drop 20 pounds. Now then you came to the wrong people. But we got to make sure that the goals match where you're currently at. Like if you are, I don't know, you're injured in the hips or whatever, and your hips are super tight, you sit at the desk all day and your strength isn't anywhere to be found, and you tell me, I want to do a powerlifting meet in 6 months. I mean, like, I don't think that works. Or you're 100 pounds overweight, I want to run a marathon in a couple of months.
Or if you haven't been consistent with nutrition, sleep, exercise, anything, and then it's like, but I want to do this high level thing in a short amount of time.
Yep.
Now, I'm not saying if you haven't been consistent or anything, you can't achieve these things, but that could be a goal and that needs to be far off. Now let's get more short-term goals before that.
Yep.
Like, great. Well, let's start working out 3 days a week consistently. Let's get our nutrition up, consistently. All right, let's,
Yeah,
it's a stepwise
understanding.
approach.
So yeah, it's understanding like if you have this higher end goal, it's understanding, hey, what things need to happen that are foundational and gonna support what I want to do, right? Somebody says, I want to deadlift 400 pounds. Some guy. Okay, what's the current state? Oh, you can barely touch your toes. Like if you bend over in a hinge position,
Your hamstring's just gonna.
your hamstrings just look like they're gonna pop. Okay, then we obviously gotta work on mobility.
Yep.
We gotta strengthen your hamstrings first. We gotta make sure that you can hinge properly. And we gotta build all that up. Then we're gonna strengthen your back. Then we gotta get your grip stronger, et cetera, until we get you to the point where you can start training to deadlift 400 pounds.
So I
right?
think goals are great, even if they're, like, I want to do a powerlifting meet. And I think it's our jobs as coaches and any coaches to help to put realistic light on that. Like, that's a great goal, but that's not gonna realistically happen in 6 months unless you quit your job, right? But let's keep it. Now let's develop some short-term goals to build on those so that we can eventually reach that, which I think is a great thing to do. And for people who are new, but also if you're a seasoned exerciser, healthy person or whatever, because I think we fall into this as well, is always have a goal, right? So it's easy when you are very first starting. My goal is powerlifting, this, whatever, right? Okay, but when you get to that goal, but what's your next goal? Because once you don't have a goal, well, then what are you doing?
Yeah.
Right? And I don't know if you've fallen victim, but I have fallen victim to that. Whereas like I have to modify my goals, not periodically, but continually. Okay, so I did a jiu-jitsu meet. So my goal was compete in an IBJJF jiu-jitsu competition. I did that. Okay, now what's my goal? I don't know. Well, what is my goal? Now it's like, I don't have I want to deadlift this. I want to squat this. I want to do this. Right now, my goal is to get back to doing barbell movements pain-free. So that's my goal. And then once I reach that goal, then I have other goals. But maybe it's, I want to work on increasing my mobility so then I can cycle back and then increase my squat. So goals don't always have to, what I'm trying to say, and I think I'm doing a poor job at it, but goals don't have to be a singular competition or an event.
Yeah.
Right? But even if it's a seemingly small goal, you still need to have it. And you need to keep that in mind because then that drives intention to your training, your eating, your movements throughout the day, your ability to stay consistent. So I think it's always important to have a goal.
Yeah.
And now let's take a quick break. Have you heard about collagen and how amazing it is for your skin, hair, nails, digestion, and joints, but have no clue which one to choose? I've been there. A few years ago, I stumbled upon Bubs Naturals, and let me tell you, I've been hooked ever since. Here's why I swear by them. Bubs Naturals keeps their quality standards sky high from the start to finish. Their collagen blends perfectly in coffee, or really any other beverage you love. Plus, they've got convenient to-go packs so you can stay on track wherever life takes you. And it doesn't stop there. They'll donate 10% of all of their proceeds to charities that support veterans. How awesome is that? Oh, and they've leveled up their electrolytes too. The mixed berry, that's my absolute favorite. It's light, refreshing, and not overly sweet. What sealed the deal for me? Their electrolytes are NSF certified, made right here in the USA, and just like their collagen, every purchase helps give back. So do your body a favor, head to bubnaturals.com and use my code JANE20 at checkout for 20% off every time you order. Tired of looking like you lost a fight with a powdered donut every time you work out? Yeah, I was too. That's why I ditched the messy chalk and switched to Chalkless. Chalkless is a new, clean, residue-free grip enhancer that goes on in seconds and lasts for hours. No clouds, no cleanup, just a rock-solid grip. Whether you're crushing it in the gym, dominating on the pickleball court, or hanging on a rock face like Spider-Man, Chocolates has your back. I even hit my 350-pound deadlift PR at Summer Strong using Chocolates. Locked in, zero slip, total confidence. Ready to level up your grip game? Head over to chocolates.com and use code Jane Brown to snag 10% off your order.
And I think the goals, you know, a lot of people talk about this, but they can't be too, oh, I just want to lose weight. Okay. It needs to have a little bit more substance in that,
Yes.
right?
So there's the
I just want to deadlift 400. Like, that's
why.
cool.
There's always
but
the why.
Yeah, there has to
Continuing
be.
to ask why till you get to the root thing, you know,
Yeah.
and then that will go to what we put a pin into, past trauma, especially I want to lose weight. Well, why do you want to lose weight? Okay, why? Because I want to feel better about my body. Okay, but why will losing weight help you feel better about your body? Well, because I was told I was fat when I was 5 years old. Ding, 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 ding.
Mhm.
Who told you were fat when you were 5 years old and should we need to go find them? I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
But so it's just, yeah. Anyway.
I think lastly here is identifying other obstacles, right? So things that could be an obstacle for you when you are jumping into this health
Trash on
transformation deal.
Instagram.
Oh,
Sorry.
oh, fam. Kim, I'm ready to burn these freaking phones now, man. I'm ready to like throw it in the water. Like, just everybody, let's get off social media for 30 days. Like, and hope that Meta crashes in the process. Cause yes. What are you watching on Instagram? Definitely is going to be one of them.
Sorry,
But anyway,
I know.
mindset shifts, right? So the whole instant gratification, understanding that you didn't get unhealthy in one day. So what makes you think that one workout's going to get you back in shape, et cetera? That's an exaggeration, but people think that, you know, they spent 10 years not prioritizing their health.
So why don't I see my results in a month?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They think that in what took 10 years to do, they're going to undo in 10 days.
Yeah.
You know, so things like that. I did this before, when people can't let go. Oh, but I did this before and it worked.
This is a hard one because I think it gets everybody because you're going to go back to what you know, right? But it's realizing when it's not working, not just thinking you need to dig your heels in deeper and do whatever you were doing more. It's like, okay, time to pivot.
Yeah, you gotta adjust, right? That's a big one that kills people, stops them right on their tracks when they can't let go of, well, this is what I used to do, so I'm just gonna do that. I used to eat 500 calories a day and I drop weight and I feel fine. And then I'm, things like that. Clinging on to archaic beliefs. This is a good one. People that come at you with that health advice that they received back in 95. And then, and they're still like, oh my God. Yeah. Well, this is what I used to do back in Numb, it's like, bro, we've come a long way since then. We do believe that the future of health is in the past.
Yeah.
But there are some things that should have stayed in 95. Like whatever Cosmo was talking about health in the 90s, just Richard Simmons, just leave that over there. Hey, you're not gonna P90X or Tybo your way into some health. Leave that in the 90s, bro. We're good there.
Yeah.
Discipline versus motivation. Everybody talks about this. I
Yeah.
hate to get all David Goggins on you, but there's a difference, right? Motivation is short term. Discipline is what you do for the long term. You're gonna need it.
Yeah. I feel like, well, we've been doing this for a long time, but I feel when motivation comes, it's like a little sweet treat.
Yeah.
Because after I was with all the girls, or when we were at the Power Athlete Collective and just being around everyone, I was like, oh, I feel motivated to get back and go to the gym, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was great, but I can't rely on that because then a few weeks pass by and it's, they're all in different states. Granted, we're all in communication still, but it's my discipline to keep going at it.
Yeah, you got to stack wins, right? Like you got to be able to, you got to stack the potato chips all the time. These potato chips are cooked in tallow now. No, they're cooked in tallow.
Okay.
They're not seed oil potato chips, but you got to stack potato chips all the time, in your favor,
Yeah.
right? And motivation, if you only act when motivated, then you're gonna stack a potato chip like every couple of weeks.
Yeah.
That's gonna suck,
So
right?
this comes into play, and you see this with people who rely on who are disciplined versus people who just rely on fleeting motivation, is when something rocks their boat, something disrupts their schedule, or an injury ensues, or something happens. Do they fall off completely, or do they, adjust and keep going?
Mm-hmm.
People who are disciplined will adjust, modify their workouts. Maybe it's less. Maybe it's upper body only, lower body only, depending on an injury. Maybe it's a completely different program. Maybe it's like, hey, I can't do the gym, but the time I spend in the gym, I'm going to walk those times. Whereas somebody who just relies on motivation, as soon as a challenge happens, that motivation is not sturdy enough to hold you up. Therefore, you just won't do anything.
Yeah.
I went on a date with a guy like this in Dallas. Dan, cover your ears. I dated before Dan.
Mhm.
But he would get in and out of shape because we talked about it. Because, a lot of men, if they were not regularly active, found me a certain kind of way because I'm like, oh, I go to the gym a lot. But he would like, yeah, I go to the gym a lot when I have a climbing trip coming up. So he would schedule a climbing trip with his boys, like rock climbing, and that would be motivating for him. So he would get in, like lose a bunch of weight, get in shape. But as soon as that rock climbing event was done and he didn't have one scheduled just for like another year, he would do nothing.
His thyroid must have hated
He was
him.
not disciplined at all. And, among other things, I was like, I can't do that.
Yeah, it's very wishy-washy.
Yeah.
And that is not healthy at all either. Like to go up and go down like that, that's terrible. It's also, do you think of somebody reminds me of Gerard Butler, the actor? How do you get in shape the way he did for 300? And look at Gerard Butler now.
In
My
Den
boy,
of Thieves.
my boy fat. His face is this big. His face would fill the frame on our YouTube. I mean, my boy looks like Pillsbury Doughboy.
Okay, so a few things. One,
Pillsbury Doughboy.
we don't know if he's getting big for a role.
Nah, my boy fat and lazy.
I don't know. And with 300, that was very, very extreme.
Correct.
And also photoshopped on TV. That it was enhanced.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
but not to discredit, he
No,
did
but they
get
got
into phenomenal
those
shape.
dudes got in
right?
shape. Yeah.
But this is a great example of aesthetics versus health. I guarantee you he was not healthy, even though he
I'll take
probably looked
I'll take that bet.
like a specimen of health, right?
Yep.
So because you mentioned, that off and off the thyroid, what if he has a thyroid problem now because of how he had to be at 300? And look at you shaming him on a podcast.
Because I'm going to get on his case because he is a man.
Okay.
No.
But that's so when you see,
but that's an extreme example, right?
Yeah,
Like,
so when you
don't
see
go
actors
be
like,
a 300 ready guy, and then next thing you know, you're in Den of Thieves too, and you look
who
like
is it? Who's the guy from Texas that Matthew McConaughey got like sickly thin for a role?
Dallas Buyers Club.
Joaquin Phoenix did as well. I can't remember what movie.
Christian Bale did it.
Christian Bale did it.
The Machinist and Batman. Literally, he filmed that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's sick.
And so
that's
it's
crazy.
like, and this is where it gets into where people idolize these celebrities and how they look, but you have to realize that these celebrities sacrifice their health to look a certain way because they get paid.
A lot of money.
And if you're listening to this podcast, I guarantee you're not getting paid to look a certain way.
Yeah. Some of them might go on the Jamba Juice too to fulfill the roles. They might get.
But again, that's a different tier than we'll ever be at. Because if you throw, how much money did you make for a movie? Say $10 million at me.
Yeah.
What do you want me to take? How do you want me to look?
You'll go on Jamba? You'll go on the Jamba Juice?
Just kidding.
No, but that's obviously an extreme example, right? Don't be that person that like you get in this really good shape and then you let yourself go so far.
On a more common level, what Dan mentioned with thyroid, you put on a bunch of weight, you lose a bunch of weight, your thyroid, your gallbladder, all this stuff is going to happen. And the worst, you're not getting paid for any of it.
Yep.
Okay.
Somebody is, though. Somebody's
Ooh.
getting paid
Because
for it.
guess what? They got medications and
Yeah,
surgeries for that.
somebody's gonna get paid for that.
Yeah.
Anyway, that is something that discipline helps you avoid, right? You might, it's a target. You might steer a little bit. Life is gonna get in the way, and you might not be in the kind of shape that you want to be, or that you think that you should be in, but you'll be close to it. And you just reel yourself in a little bit, boom, and you're back
Yeah.
on track, right?
That Paul Saladino is that trainer? Is that his name?
Don.
Don Saladino, excuse me. Paul's the carnivore MD,
Mhm.
sorry. Don Saladino, I went to a conference where he spoke at, and again, talking about celebrities. So yes, they have to do more extreme things, but they pay him as a trainer, and he keeps them 2 weeks out of what they need to look like for any given thing. Obviously, that may vary depending on roles, but in general, for photo shoots and stuff like that, that's going to happen more frequently than a movie. He keeps them 2 weeks out. So, hey, you get notified, you need to do a photo shoot. All right, we just got to make these tweaks, do these things, and you're there. I think that's a great thing to be, maybe not at that level, but keeping your body and your nutrition and your exercise and your sleep at a way that if for some reason you need to optimize your health, say you get diagnosed with, okay, so use me for example. I'm regularly active. I got diagnosed with cancer. Okay, guess what? I need to up my protein, do more supplementation, add on like these top tier things. I need to start doing them, tighten up my diet, optimize that, da 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 da. Tighten up meaning not lessen caloric intake, but optimize what I'm eating and how I'm eating to be able to withstand this surgery and recover for the 2 weeks after that is going to be non-weight bearing. And I will say that, and not that I care about it, but I did not have a big weight fluctuation being 2 weeks non-weight bearing. I could not walk for 2 weeks. I crutched around. I probably got more steps than some people out there, just saying. But because I'm disciplined and because I had set a foundation of stuff, even having a diagnosis and a surgery and the recovery process, I didn't vary that far off. Okay. Now you want to talk about not dealing with stressors, and did I vary off later on? Sure. But that's about dealing with traumas and stress in a good way and not going on autopilot, which was my own fault. But again, I'm still able to handle that, reverse, modify, and continue to move forward.
Yeah. The end of the day.
The end of the day.
The end of the day. The goal is longevity, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whatever you're doing, you need to be able to do it for a long time. And that's where you get the results. And then you don't stop doing it until your name gets called on high and you get to go to the other side, right? So, what the whole concept of this vibe check is about removing obstacles or putting things in place that are going to bolster your health pursuit up. Before we even talk about what are you going to eat, before we even talk about your workouts, we're going to talk about all the stuff that could derail you or that could hold you up.
Yeah, because this is the stuff that really matters, right?
Yeah.
When it comes down to it, if somebody wants to lose weight, it's because they want to feel better, because they want to be present with their family and their friends. They want to participate in activities with them. They want to be able to hang. They want to be able to, go to their kids' school event and not be winded and have to sit out, And so this stuff is what truly matters, not how you look in a dress or a suit or whatever. Now those are perks, and we get there by
it'll come.
improving your
Yeah,
health.
that stuff will come. That stuff will come when you take the time to figure all this stuff out. Okay, so we put a pin in the trauma thing.
Do you want to talk about that, or do you want to give that?
Let's finish with this.
Okay.
We'll finish with the trauma. So we've been throwing around this thing, not throwing around, it's evident, right? Trauma.
It's a buzzword.
It is a buzzword too. So let's define trauma real quick. Okay, like past experiences.
An adverse event.
Adverse event or past experiences, because it doesn't necessarily have to be a full-blown adverse event like combat or death or, you got assaulted or whatever. It could be somebody said something ugly about you when you were a child and that
Mhm.
left an impression, right? A parent that called you fat when you were a kid or fed you a certain way or took food away from you a certain, you know. So that is the sort of thing that could be it tends to hold people back in health transformations, right?
Uh-huh.
A lot of people that hit morbid obesity, 500 pounds, 600 pounds, those sort of people, 9 out of 10, not, I mean, I'm not,
More
don't know what
often
this,
than not.
more often than not, they've had some sort of traumatic event that just put them on this path to getting that
Yeah.
big, right? Um, Sometimes assault is part of the equation, and then they just ate themselves into their current condition, um, loss of a parent or whatever, things like that. So that is something that merits and is worth addressing before you take on health transformations, right? Because that's a big
Or
obstacle.
or while you're taking it on. Because
No, of
in
course.
my intake form, one of the things I ask about big stressful events. I can't remember off the top of my head exactly how it's worded, but it's asked a few different ways. And one of the ways I ask it specifically because a lot of things that happen when we're children are imprinted. And so that's the difference between complex PTSD and PTSD. PTSD, and I'm going to keep it very simplified. If you know more about it, please, you can share, but know that I know that it's a little bit more complex than how I'm about ready to describe it. But PTSD, commonly think about an accident, wartime, like combat, stuff like that. Like you are a grown adult and boom, this thing happened, right? Complex PTSD happens a lot. I guess it can happen at any age, but more often than not, it's happened as a child, but it's more of like little like daily things of traumatic experiences or ways of living. Like if you had a parent where you had to walk on eggshells around them all the time, you sort of learn a behavior. You're hardwired to act and react a certain way. So then when it happens later on in life, you're still acting like you did back then. Same way that a veteran gets, a veteran or somebody in the military gets boom is part of an explosion and then fireworks go off, they're back to that explosion. So it's the same thing. PTSD, they may have more like visual, they're back into it. Complex PTSD, they have that feeling of dramatically unsafe and freaking out. But then, they're safe. So there's a lot of overlap, but it is a little bit different. So how I explain the difference is somebody who is a grown person and say that they had it. So you had a great childhood, right?
Mhm.
Say you were in combat and you were a part of an explosion, but you have the foundation be able to handle that stressor, right? Whereas somebody who had a rocky childhood, they don't even have the pieces to be able to handle that in the correct way. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Okay. So when we want to deal with why we want to deal with past traumas, because a lot of reasons why you may be self-sabotaging, you can't stay consistent, you always seek out other ways to not reach your goals because some people are so afraid that they're going to fail that they'll just mess it up on purpose so they can't even get the opportunity. We need to unravel that, and a lot of times it is going back into the past.
Yeah, and this is something that you find that holds people up a lot too. If there's like a deep-seated, significant amount of trauma around food, right?
Yeah, and
If
that can
you
also just be learned behaviors too. It doesn't necessarily need to be trauma.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. And like I said, I'm not talking about necessarily, you know, okay, because that's trauma such a
So,
buzzword.
but
Like I
yeah,
mentioned,
but
I'm
we
not talking
talked.
about like, oh, somebody, this adverse event, right? That's why we distinguish that.
Yeah, well, because like I talked about that woman who I knew that could not lose weight because nobody ever told her no with food.
Yep.
They always gave her whatever she wanted.
And she had a, yep.
There was no structure. Now I'm not telling you you should tell people not to eat things, but it's let's have a structure. Like this is a protein. These are fruits and vegetables. These are things that are good for you. These are things that are need. She just like I want this. This tastes good. What tastes good? Hyper processed foods. Why? Because they're engineered to. Okay. they're not benign. And so that's a learned behavior. I mean, you can classify that as abuse because it was neglect of
Well,
you, but
isn't there a court case where they gave somebody almost like an insanity plea because their parents never told them no?
oh, I didn't know
I
about
this
that.
oh,
Or the example of
this is
the
like a early 2000s case, like this some affluent 20 some year old or whatever committed a crime, and they literally gave him a diagnosis of insanity because they were raised in a way where nobody ever told them no boundaries, no
yeah,
sort of.
yeah. Well, I had that 14-year-old that who's $500 or 500 pounds when I was in Texas, and I was talking to the dad about his dietary means and like being active and everything, and he's like, well, he won't eat because I'm like, more fruits and vegetables. He can have what but these need to be more. Well, he won't eat that. Well, maybe, and I said this before, maybe not my place to say it, but I was like, well, if he doesn't eat it, then that's how I was raised. Like, if you don't want
Mhm.
to eat what's on the
Yeah,
table,
that's how I was
you
raised
don't
too.
eat,
Yeah,
right?
that's how I was raised too.
The dad had a visceral reaction to me.
Mhm,
Now let's talk about trauma. The dad has trauma
mhm.
because he says, my son will never not eat. He will never go to bed hungry. That tells me the dad went to bed hungry. That tells me the dad has issues with food. And now he's putting them onto his son to the effect of his son weighing 500 pounds at 14 years old.
Yeah, so which that reminds me of there's a clip of a 600-pound teenager that went
With his
viral.
mom.
Yeah,
Are we
with
thinking
the
about the same
mom,
one?
and the mom's literally feeding him. Yes,
That's
she's
codependency
it
times a
I mean,
thousand.
yeah, and she's feeding him, like, the breakfast is, like, waffles with fake butter on them, bacon, and eggs. I was like, "Man, I ain't mad at the eggs and bacon, but damn, the waffles too and cereal." I'm just like, and she's, like, giving him all these choices, "You want a bagel too?" And I'm just like, "Holy crap, how much are you spending on food to feed this child?" But the kid is a teenager, weighs 600 pounds. And the mother is just shoving this food
Yeah, and
down his
if you
it
also see it, she's like, "What do you want? Do you want this or not?" Not, "Hey, here's what we're gonna have."
yeah, and so where do you think that leads? Like, if this child, God willing, he makes, something happens and he decides, I mean, if you're 15 years old and you weigh 600 pounds, what are we even doing? But hopefully there's an intercession there and somebody decides to break that cycle. How do you think he's gonna deal with food when, he was eating like that all the
What if you
time?
came in and said, "Hey, you're gonna make your own breakfast today?"
Exactly.
He doesn't know how
And he
to.
doesn't know how to. And then the mother, obviously, there's something happened there that she's like feeding this child the way she is. So that's something that has to be addressed, right? And Lord knows what happened, but we'll call it trauma. We'll get buzzwordy with it today.
Yeah,
That becomes an obstacle to improving somebody's health,
yeah,
right? A lot of, semi borderline type of eating disorder type of situations where people, and you see this with women a lot where when we talk about like, hey, I think we need to track what you're eating for a little bit. They're like, because they immediately assume that I'm going to tell them to eat less.
they
Whereas like,
take stuff away.
but like, chick, I'm actually going to tell you to eat more than likely. You're not
Yeah,
eating
but then
enough.
there's that, you know, I can't if you eat too much, like maybe a parent had made a comment or
Yep.
somebody along the way had made a comment. That's why when I go to work and people comment on how much I eat, I'm like, I will like kick you in the chest if you say that to other people. Like,
Mhm.
I'm fine with it, but that can be so damaging to
Yeah,
people.
no, it is. It
Yeah.
is. And how many mothers have done that to their
Yes.
daughters
Like,
over
are
the
you sure
years?
you want to eat that? Why are you hungry again already?
Yep.
Like all these things, like, and we have all these stories of people, but some people may not think that, oh, that wasn't me. Like nobody like said that to me. That doesn't affect me. But there's something
Yep.
that it's almost there's a, a disruption of the ability for you just to to be able to reach your goal and to be disciplined and to optimize your health. There's something that's causing you to almost avoid it.
Yeah.
And we need to figure out what's this like
No, you see it. You see it with it, and a lot of these issues are going to surround food, really.
Yeah.
And then in some cases, you get into like behaviors, like not being able to work out or that sort of thing. But really, with the food stuff, that is one of them where it's like, hey, we got to up your protein. But people are
Here's
like, oh, I got to eat more. Oh my god, no, I'm going to get fat.
here's one with exercise. I see it a lot in high level athletes, whether it was high school, college, or beyond, who did not have, I think techs calls it like coach wounds or whatever,
Hmm.
or who, like, we have a friend who was a high level gymnast all through high school, and then she got burnt out and she did not work out for a long time because just that it's almost like they went overboard on the discipline that terrifies them now.
Hmm.
Does that make sense?
Hmm.
Or like they they're they remember being disciplined and working out, and they remember a coach talking down on them and being told they weren't good enough. Nothing they did was ever met the expectations. So now it's like, well, what's the point of working out? So there's that way with exercise I've seen in some
Hmm.
people.
Yeah, or people who had bad PE experiences too,
Yeah.
that sort of thing. Yeah, that happens. Um, Really, a lot of it is with food. I'm reminded of a client that I had years ago. Briefly had her because obviously the way she was like very inconsistent, but she had a daughter, and she starts talking to me about getting toned, and she wants to get jacked and all this stuff. So I'm like, okay, so what are we eating? What are we eating? And start having that conversation, and she eats one time a day, and it's white fish and vegetables. She doesn't wanna get fat and all this thing, and then she's having conversations with her teenage daughter, well, preteen daughter, like a 12 like, the age where you're, like, really gonna leave a mark if you start talking about this sort of thing. Like, basically, "Why are you eating again?" With her that type of conversation with her daughter. Like, "I think you probably shouldn't be eating again," that sort of thing. I'm like, and she's telling me as a point of pride, "No, in my house, this is what we it's vegetables and white fish only, blah, blah, blah." I'm like,
Just a house of anemia.
that's exactly. I'm like, "Yo, that sounds terrible. That sounds unhealthy AF," not to mention the attitude that you're putting behind eating,
Yeah.
where, like, you're, like, looking down on nourishing your body.
Yeah.
Like,
And so talking about past traumas is tough because it's very individualized. Because I said Dan had a great childhood, but maybe you had some things that, you know, cause things, I don't know. And I have other things. So something,
parentheses, if yes, I did have a great childhood, guys. I grew up. It was this white picket fence. Literally had a white fence in front of our house in Puerto Rico, still there. Yeah. So, in Puerto Rico, there's steel fences.
yeah.
But but
But I'm not trying to minimize that you didn't have any.
no, no, no.
So,
Stuff happened, but yeah, it
yeah.
wasn't. Now the thing I find it hilarious. We talk about this every time that when people look at us, and you say one of us had a rough childhood and one of us had a white picket fence type of childhood, and then probably people assume
It's
they'll
like,
assume opposite.
whose father was the drug dealer?
And then like one of us is a power athlete, really fast and speed, and the other one is very slow and endurance fight. Who do you think is the fast one? Total opposites. Total
But
opposites.
but what I'm trying to say is that we're just trying to tell common stories of things we've seen, just to shed light that trauma can come in all shapes and sizes. And yes, I cringe when I hear trauma as well, but stumbling blocks, obstacles for you achieving. If you feel like you're constantly running from something, or something's holding you back and you can't quite figure it out, it is worth taking a look back. And not that we need to go back there and live there and
No, but
like
you want to address it.
trauma dump,
Yeah.
but let's find the I can't think of the right word, but I almost want to, like, the break in the tracks, and let's patch it up. Let's rewire it. Let's form a new neural connection or something like that to bypass that. So that way it's not inhibiting you. You can achieve health in spite of it, or maybe it drives you in a different
Yep.
way because of it, right? And one thing that I think we can end with is, if and I've said this before in previous podcasts, a question that I have on our intake form, I think it's a beautiful question because it kind of gets right to it. And it says, have you had any adverse childhood events or past traumas or whatever? And it doesn't even have to be in childhood, right? And you say no. And then I follow it up with, if your child or a child you know and love were to go through your childhood and life experiences, would you be okay with that? And if you can't say yes, then there's something we need to heal or something we need to address going on there.
Yeah.
Because if you don't want somebody to go through you went through, but it's okay that you went through it, we need to we need to talk about that.
So I think it's all about removing obstacles, right? You want to stack the deck in your favor so that you can be successful in anything. Really, you should be doing a similar process. But in this case, we're talking about health, right? If you wanted to save a lot of money, you got to figure out where you're spending all your money, how you got to figure out your behaviors around money, right? So you're doing the same thing with health. Be like, I want to be very healthy. I want to pursue my health. I want to be successful at this. I want to do all the things that I need to do to be healthy for the long term. So I need to figure out what could stop me from doing that. That was the whole vibe check process. And then things like traumatic events or things, attachments and little stupid mindsets that you might have that are holding you back, figuring out how to, deal with that, manage that, cut ties with that will definitely pay large dividends in the long run. Cause then you'll feel like you got a little boost, right? Like you can actually go. Yep. And that's what we want to get you to.
Yeah. And Dan and I are not licensed therapists or psychologists or social workers or anything like that. But we know some great ones we can get you plugged in with if you need that. So
I would literally just be like, hey, sounds like we got something here that you need to work on. Find the therapist or find, and let's address that before we even get into this, or you could do it simultaneously, right? But know that if it goes unaddressed, it could become a problem, like something like, behaviors that lead to disordered eating and things like that. Yep. Big one that you see a lot. Yep. Anyway, okay. I hope that was very helpful to you guys. I hope that, there's some conversation generated and you tell a friend, be like, you know what? These people over at PharmaPhobic, they're all right. And they're very helpful. And even though they dislike Big Pharma a lot, they like helping people more. Okay.
So here's though a win for FDA is as of yesterday, they removed the black box warning for low dose vaginal estrogen for women.
We should have dropped that in the health
news. I'm sure all the men listening to this are like, what?
Guys.
I heard vagina.
It'll be a good thing. Don't worry about it. Well, with that in mind, that's an episode. Janie, if they want to find out more, where should they go?
They can go to our website, achievethelifestyle.com. They can email us at info@achievethelifestyle.com. And they can slide in our DMs.
Because it do go down in the DM.
At Achieve the Lifestyle on Instagram. But also, we were just talking about this before the show. You know what's making a comeback?
The YouTubes.
And do we have a YouTube channel?
Oh, yeah. It's at Achieve the Lifestyle.
Interesting.
Huh. So you should go check out the podcast on the YouTubes. Mm-hmm. We're in the Tiki-Talkies too, but you know what? We don't really like Tiki-Talkies.
Those are for the youngins, the youth.
We don't like Tiki-Talkies. But check us out on the YouTube. You should most definitely listen to the podcast, right? From Apple or Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. And then you could play the YouTube too. Double dip on the download.
And you can see that I keep wearing the same shirt unintentionally. But I wore it today on purpose, but I just wear the same shirt all the time, apparently.
Well, and maybe you get a little glimpse of Maggie Moo one day if you're watching on YouTube. My little baby. Girl. She my little baby. Anyway, guys, that's an episode. Till the next one, you know what I want you to do. I want you to address your trauma. No, just kidding. Stay pharma free. Thanks for listening to the PharmaPhobic podcast. If you found this conversation interesting, which I know you did, Make sure to follow us on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And also make sure to check us out on Instagram at Achieve the Lifestyle. And if you're interested in pursuing a stronger, healthier, more capable version of yourself, check out our website at achievethelifestyle.com.
The PharmaPhobic podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only. The views expressed are those of the hosts and guests and do not constitute medical, legal, or professional advice. Always consult a qualified healthcare provider before making any medical or wellness decisions. While we discuss pharmaceutical, holistic, and alternative health topics, our content is not a substitute for professional medical guidance.